This is an exam applications tutorial for the topic of DNA. The question for 6 marks is describe the structure of DNA and discuss the involvement of the scientist who helped discover it. So there are clearly 2 sections to this question, and if you only addressed one of the sections, for example, if you only described the structure, you couldn't get past 3 marks. Similarly, if you only talked about the roles of the scientists, you could only get 3 marks. So the translation questions, to divide this into a smaller set of questions, are describe 3 features of DNA, how it looks, and the second part, describe what different scientists did to uncover the structure of DNA. You do not need to actually list the names of the scientists, although personally I think it helps you remember. So for 1 mark, you'd have to state the most obvious thing about DNA: it is a double helix. That means it has 2 strands coiled into this helter-skelter pattern. If you say it has 4 organic bases, A, T, C, and G, you can get another mark. So these make up the genetic code. You can see the bases here. You would most definitely pick up credit for saying bases pair specifically, or specific base pairing. In other words, A pairs with T and C pairs with G. That's very important. You can see A always with T and C always with G. The last thing you could say about DNA structure at this level is that the bases are linked by weak hydrogen bonds. So base pairs are held by weak hydrogen bonds. It's very important that DNA can easily break these bonds and uncoil or unzip so it can carry out things like DNA replication or protein synthesis. In other words, without unzipping, you cannot read the genetic code. So these bonds break and form very easily. So this deals with the structure. We've dealt with half of the question. Now let's look at the involvement of the scientists. Well, some scientists analysed X-ray diffraction patterns of DNA crystals to find out that DNA is a double helix with bases on the inside. So Maurice Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin carried out X-ray diffraction crystallography, firing X-rays at DNA crystals, and they determined the double helix structure, and they found out that bases were on the inside. Whereas other scientists built a 3D model showing base pairing is specific. This was the role of James Watson and Francis Crick. They built the first fully realized 3-dimensional model of DNA, and it showed specific base pairing. Notice how I do not put the names of the scientists in the answer. You can do, but you do not have to get all marks.